All right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our Marin Leadership for Equity and Opportunity information session. We are going to turn on interpretation. So everyone, please select a channel, English or Spanish. We will be speaking in mostly English today, but also some Spanish. So you need to have selected a channel so that you can hear the interpretation, unless you're fully bilingual, in which case it's still good to select a channel because otherwise the sound can get strange. So I'll let Maribel consecutively translate that, and then we'll turn on interpretation.
Sí, buenas tardes a todos, bienvenidos. Vamos a comenzar la interpretación de la sesión. Si gustan escoger el canal de español, va a estar disponible en unos segundos. Gracias por estar aquí.
All right. Welcome, welcome. So my name is Robin, and I care deeply about compassion and full potential for myself and everyone. And I am with Impact Launch, and we are here to learn more about the Marin LEO program that starts in September. So LEO stands for Leadership for Equity and Opportunity. And we're so excited to share with you details about the program. We have some program alumni here with you today to share about their experiences. So our goal is that you leave this hour with more information and knowing where to go for more details and having our contact information so that you can get all your questions answered, and you will be on our newsletter list. If you want to opt out, you're welcome to email us, but otherwise you'll be receiving our notices about the program, and you can share them with your colleagues and your friends and your family to let them all know about the program. So as we get started, I've introduced myself, but I'd love to introduce our team here with you all. So over to Megan to introduce yourself to our friends today.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. So great to see everybody here today. And thank you for joining us. My name is Megan. I am one of the co-founders of Impact Launch and have been doing this work that LEO is based on for over a decade. And we're really excited to share with you just our experience and our alumni's experience and to see if this is right for you. So thank you for joining us. And I'll pass it to Micheline.
Thank you. My name is Micheline. I stand for compassion, equity, and joy for myself and all others. I support Impact Launch with these programs, but I also work in the County of Marin as the Executive Director of the San Rafael City Schools Public Education Foundation.
Thank you, Micheline. And Maribel, when you're ready, could you please introduce yourself to the folks listening on the Spanish channel, and then join us on the English channel and let us know. Maribel is one of our key interpretation team members and a longtime practitioner of this work.
And thank you very much. I did it in English and Spanish already. My name is Maribel. I'm one of the collaborators with Impact Launch, usually doing interpretation and translation, but also been participating with this program for 8 years. So welcome, everybody.
Thank you, Maribel. And Maribel was also critical in helping us translate the foundational book for this program, which is called Radical Transformational Leadership by Dr. Monica Sharman. We'll share more about that. But Maribel was instrumental in translating that into Spanish, and we're so excited. This is the first program that we're starting off day one with the translated book. And we'll be introducing some of our alumni to you later. But first, we want to hear a little bit from you about what you might, what brought you here. today. So I'm going to launch a poll, and if you are able to select which one is true for you in terms of what brought you here today. Just give you all a minute for that. And if you don't have easy access to the poll, maybe you're on your phone or something that makes it a little trickier, feel free to type in the chat to one of us, the hosts. The options are, I've heard a lot about this program before and I want to learn more. I've heard a little bit about this program and want to learn more. I want to learn how this program can support me or I actually can't. Oh, there we go. And or my teams to create greater impact. I'm interested in hearing about the results generated by practitioners of this social change approach. And then anything else can be added to the chat. So thank you all who have participated in the poll. So far, the leader here is, I want to learn more about how this program can support me and my teams to create greater impact. Great, we're going to cover that. A taste of it. And followed by, I've heard a lot about this program and want to learn more, and I'm interested in hearing about the results generated. So you can take a look at that. But we hope to meet all your needs here in this hour. And if you leave with more questions, we're always here for any questions you might have. All right. So over to Megan to get us going here today.
Thanks, Robin. All right. So we wanted to start out with a couple of alumni sharing their experience because it is one thing for us to talk about it. We've been involved in this for a long time. It's another to hear from folks from Marin who have been using these tools and some of the results that they've produced. So let's start with that. Then we're going to jump into some of the context around RTL and what LEO and what the foundation is, which is Radical Transformational Leadership.
Megan, I'm just going to ask you to pause and slow
Sure.
down a little bit for interpretation. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we will dive into additional testimonials and logistics. So that's sort of where we're heading. So I'm going to invite Supervisor Mary Sackett to be spotlighted and to join us for sharing about your experience with this work. And thank you so much for taking the time today, Mary, to be with us.
It is my pleasure to be here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So my name's Mary Sackett. I'm a Marin County Supervisor for District 1. I stand for Economic Justice and Compassion. So I took the LEO program 4 or 5 years ago before I was a county supervisor. And what I can share is, I think we all sit through a lot of meetings and convenings, and sometimes you walk away and say, that was great. I enjoyed meeting everybody. We shared a lot of ideas. And then you meet again and you kind of start it over. And oftentimes people either fall off because they're like, well, we're not accomplishing anything, or you continue to meet, but you struggle to get traction. So the LEO program does ask you to have a project, and sometimes that's intimidating. I would say don't be intimidated by it. I took on a project that I was working on, and I'll give you just an example of that. So I was working on Marin CAN, which is a collaborative impact model for climate in Marin County. And in particular, the equity subgroup. And there had been a great leader in that role who we were doing some good work, and that person moved out of the county. And so I was sort of passed the baton to chair the equity stakeholder group. And we were meeting and sort of really struggling on what can we do? How do we change the narrative? How do we change our climate solutions to, from looking at things that cost a lot of money to really looking at things that have the biggest impact on underserved communities? And how do we bring underserved communities into the dialogue? And through the LEO program, you do what's called a conscious full spectrum response worksheet. And it requires you to really spell out, like, what am I trying to achieve? Who do I need to join me on this journey? What are the principles of the project? Really, those kind of value statements. Like, are we meeting for the sake of meeting? Are we meeting to say we've checked the box on equity? Or are we really trying to make change? And you have to go through that worksheet multiple times through the Leo training, and working with other members of the Marin community really helped me refine that. And I would just caution that it's not extra work. It really felt like helping me take a group I was already working with and come back with tangible, concrete actions. And oftentimes, even if we're setting agendas, we don't have time to think about, like, what do I want to deliver out of this meeting? So I really appreciated it. And then kind of, without taking too much time today, really the value that I would say I gained from the Leo program is sort of working through these issues with people who are in a number of different organizations throughout the county, whether it's community-based organizations, advocacy groups, government, police. I ended up in a small group with a police officer, all sorts of different walks of life. And now when I walk into a room and I see somebody who is in my Leo cohort, there's a bit of a level setting of, like, I know they want to get things done. They care about the community, and it really brings a level of credibility and, frankly, a place to start and launch on an effort. And, it was 4 or 5 years ago. I still walk into rooms and see somebody, and we sort of have that shared language with people who are working not necessarily in the same line of work, but there's so much we can do when we work together, and having those relationships really matters. And sometimes it's hard to create relationships, in other organizations you don't work with, but then you're like, wow, you're actually doing something similar, or there's actually funding out there for that. So I found that continues to be a real value from the Leo training I did. It was pre-pandemic. That's kind of the most that I remember about the date, but really still have value with it, and would encourage you to take advantage of the opportunity, and really appreciate Marin Community Foundation for continuing to support this work. I'm happy to answer any questions either on or offline too. My email's all over the place, so reach out if you have any other questions.
Thank you so much, Supervisor Sackett. Thank you for being here with us. Amazing. We'll have time for questions at the end. I know, Mary, you have to go, so we'll definitely follow up if there's anything specific for what you shared. Thanks so much again. I want to now introduce another amazing alumni who's been using these tools in the community in incredible ways, Eduardo from Edmo. Eduardo, thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for inviting me, Megan, and great to be here with everyone. My name is Eduardo Caballero, and I stand for equity, authenticity, and courage for myself and all others. I would say Leo really changed the trajectory of my life and our organization. We may have been in the same cohort. I think it was 2019. Slowing down. Okay. So I did the Leo cohort in 2019, and I was, and I still am, the executive director of Edmo. We are a STEAM and SEL focused after school and summer program for kids. So we do science, tech, engineering, arts, math, and social emotional learning. And around 2018, I had this feeling we'd been using the word equity for many years, since 2004. But I had this feeling that we were misusing the word. We had a financial aid system for kids that come into the program, and a scholarship program. But it felt like we weren't really changing any systems. We had just built a system on top of an inequitable system, the same inequitable system that exists in education today. And so when someone I really respected recommended Leo, I said, I was super intrigued, and I was like, yeah, let me learn more about this program. And as soon as I learned more and who was leading it and who was behind it, I was all in. I think a lot of us, we come into this work, whether it's whatever job that we have, whether it be nonprofits or public sector or private, if you're in this room, you have good intentions. You want to do good in the world. You want to figure out like how to make a real impact and a real change in the world. But we don't always have the tools, the practical tools to actually create systemic change. It can feel very overwhelming, right? All the inequities we see in the world around us. And so I think that's probably the biggest benefit of going through Leo is you will actually learn practical tools. I think there's 40 plus of them that you can start using the very next day after your first session. You can start practicing them. And like anything that doesn't necessarily come naturally, you have to practice them. And sometimes it can feel a little unnatural, but it's because usually the natural state of things kind of takes you into an inequitable space, and you've got to work against that current, right? You have to learn some tools to build something, in the face of something that's maybe working against you. So it can help you see where inequities lie, and then actually give you those practical tools to work through and create real systemic change. And I think that's what folks really, if you're drawn to this, is what you want to do. And it's amazing. Supervisor talked about all the different walks of life that come into Leo. Everyone has an opportunity to do that. Definitely learned that through Leo. Everyone has an opportunity to do it, no matter what your role is in an organization, no matter what capacity you're in, what capacity your organization is in, whether it's small, whether it's large. You have an opportunity to stand for equity in the world. I would say some real concrete examples of things that changed because of our participation. We switched to an honor system financial aid program in our organization, got rid of all the forms that were re-traumatizing folks and just perpetuating inequity, and created a real equitable system for families to access our programs immediately. We center our co-design process with school districts all around the hardest to reach families first, because we know if we can reach the hardest families to reach first, then everyone can come into the program. And that really helped change our mindset around how we design with school districts. You get real simple frameworks for how to give feedback, very simple thing. But that's been really transformative for me, even because I tend to be a little verbose. Real easy way to give some real simple, good feedback to folks. Ways to hear someone's complaints, but actually hear what's their committed action behind that complaint. It's helped me navigate so many difficult conversations with potential partners or school districts, so that we can find something common that we stand for. And I would say most recently, I was invited to speak at a budget committee hearing at the state capitol in order to protect our state's historic $4 billion investment in after school and summer programs. And I knew how to frame my talk. I had 5 minutes, and I knew how to speak powerfully, how to make a committed request, how to ground that presentation in equity and my values. And so lots of tools, again, that you can use every day. Leo takes time. It's a time investment. It will take practice. It will take dedication. But if you do it with integrity, you'll walk away with tools and resources that will help you make systemic change in the world. And you'll have a community of like-minded folks. Like the supervisor said, you'll have a community of like-minded folks who can help you along your path, and you help them along their path as well. Thanks, Megan.
Thank you, Eduardo. Amazing. And congratulations on all your recent accomplishments and what you shared at the state level, et cetera. And thanks for sharing those things with us. Sometimes we don't always get to see the ripple effects of the work of this program. So it's wonderful to hear from you both. And we'll have more alumni sharing later. So thank you again. We're going to dive in. We know this hour goes quickly, so we'll dive in right now to some of the framing behind Leo and a little bit of the history and context. So I'm going to share a couple of slides here. All right. So you've heard from alumni about their experience in Leo. Now, what is it? So you've probably heard about this. That's why you're here, from other colleagues and other folks in the community. So this is a 4-month professional development program. You do get a certificate of completion at the end if that is helpful in your career, but it's also just for anyone who cares about creating equity and change in the community. So this program is not just for those with formal authority or formal positions of leadership in the community. It is for them, and it's also for someone with informal influence or who wants to influence change, who cares deeply. The criteria for this program is you care deeply and you're willing to roll up your sleeves and do something about it. Doesn't matter what your formal role or position in the community is. And we really want to emphasize that because these cohorts are designed to flatten the hierarchy and to have everyone understanding and getting to know each other from a different space and working together differently. So in this cohort specifically for 2024 and in alignment with MCF's focus areas, everyone is welcome, and we will have some specialized materials and some specialized conversations that are optional on specifically affordable housing and homelessness and then climate justice. So again, if you're working in education, if you're working in social services, any other field, this work still applies to you, and we'll have some special breakout discussions on these two topics if those are appropriate and of interest to you. Very importantly, this is free to all Marin changemakers if you work or live in Marin. It is not that way anywhere else. So take advantage, and this may be the last free Marin cohort. I will say that out loud. It may be the last free Marin cohort, so please take advantage of this incredible opportunity. Does it work? What do you even mean by does it work? So this is just some of the data that we have. We have a full report. Thank you, Informing Change and MCF, for helping us analyze the first 3 cohorts we did, specifically in Marin, to understand the impact. And so this is from a pre and post survey of folks sharing with us the increased level of feeling the courage to disrupt the status quo, feeling empowered to take action on equity related issues, things we've heard from our alumni already today, taking courageous action related to equity, and knowing how to take action toward aligning equity efforts. So significant increases in these areas from pre and post. It also, not only do we feel differently coming out of this program, but we can do differently. So we've got a lot of practical tools. As Eduardo mentioned, there's 41 plus tools that you get across this program that you can use that day and the next. These are right away. We can be in practice with them and see the impact of those tools on our work in our teams, in our organizations, in our initiatives. So folks reported having tools by the end to address inequitable power dynamics, to design our projects to generate equitable and sustainable change, and to speak to inspire others to take action. Again, just some of the outcomes that we measured and that we wanted to share with you. We'll hear more results today. We also have a growing library of results that our alumni have accomplished, either moving into influential positions in their communities or creating measurable results through their initiatives, or just taking a program you're already doing and doing it differently for more equitable results. So results come from a lot of different scales. You don't have, your project doesn't matter how big your project is or how many people it's serving, it's how strategic is it, and can it produce the results you're really seeking. So again, with the project-based work that this work requires, it's really about the fact that we can enter creating change from anywhere, from any level, from any scale, etc. So any topic. But we see here, Eduardo mentioned EDMO. We also have seen through this work being in action a decrease in youth homelessness in Santa Cruz County. We've seen philanthropy change the way that they're doing things. We've seen a decrease in digital divide, specifically through a project that started in this work called Digital Nest. Many other examples of how alumni are using and applying this work. And again, wherever you're entering from is just right. So the foundation of this program, let me share this again, is what we call the conscious full spectrum response model. And I'll just give a really brief overview. This is the foundation of all 41 tools. And so when we talk about radical transformational leadership, that's the framework that is the foundation for LEO, Leadership for Equity and Opportunity. Why is it called different things? It's each community was able to name their own program. So in Santa Cruz County, it's Leadership for Community Transformation. But it's all based on this framework. This framework was developed by Dr. Monica Sharma, who still will be facilitating the program with us. So it's an incredible opportunity while she's still facilitating live this work to learn from her and her global experience as well. She's the former director of leadership and capacity development for the United Nations. And she developed this framework after being tasked with addressing and helping communities across the world address big, complex social issues, HIV/AIDS, human trafficking, issues that have been perplexing to how communities could really solve them for many years. And when she went in with the lens of the UN, she recognized very early on in her career, she's trained as a physician, an epidemiologist, she recognized it wasn't just a policy or a systems approach that was needed, it was also a leadership approach. Human beings create systems, human beings create policies, and create the reality in which we all live. And so, how do we need to show up differently and work together differently to create the results we want to see? And that's why this program is an inside out approach. It's not just the external policy and project design and systems design. It's not just who we are as leaders and how we need to show up, but it's the intersection and integration of both. Who do we need to show up and how do we need to show up and what does that mean for what we then do and do differently? So as you can see here, what we talk about is that many of our solutions to our problems in our communities, I'm sure many of us can relate, are partial. They're not full responses that will then generate the true results that we want to see for community members. And so we get bits and pieces, and we get solutions that aren't fully integrated or aren't working with the right sort of ecosystem of change makers. So sometimes we solve an immediate problem, but we don't look at what's causing that immediate problem. Sometimes we only look at systems and norms, but we don't actually solve the problem. Sometimes we're only talking about the underlying factors or sort of the values that are driving what we want. We all want equity, but we don't know how to make that practical in our project yet. So these three spaces demonstrated here, the immediate cause, the systems or the norms or the cultural cause, and then those underlying or root factors all need to be driving the results that we want to see. And this program is based on the nuts and bolts of that. How do we design thinking this way? What are the actual tools when we get stuck and there's a polarizing conversation in our project, or there's something that's not moving? How do we address that? If there's a complaint, how do we address that? If we have to run a meeting and we want to do it differently to really move the agenda forward, how do we do that? So this program is very comprehensive in how do we actually make this design a reality so that we get to the results we want to see. Okay, I am going to, I think, stop there. Let me see. Just a couple of other points on that, and then we'll move into some additional information from our alumni and others that have participated. Just a couple of other points that I want to share. Eduardo mentioned that this is a time commitment. Yes, upfront, it's a time commitment. Absolutely. This first session's in person, the rest are online, and the expectation is that you participate fully in all of those sessions. The magic of it, the special sauce, is that what happens later is that we actually save a lot of time, because how much of our time is spent in meetings that don't move the agenda forward, or spinning our wheels on solutions that aren't actually generating the results that we want, or are in conflict, or complaint sessions that don't lead anywhere. So this work is all about let's invest up front so that we can do things differently and save a whole lot of time and go a whole lot further, faster in the impact that we want to have later. And then we mentioned that this is a learning and action program, meaning that it's project-based. We don't want this work to be theoretical or to just sit on a shelf, or we leave with a really fat notebook full of amazing ideas and don't actually implement them. This work is about learn it, do it. Learn it, do it. Try it on, practice it, see what it's like, what worked, what didn't, come back with questions. So we are in it together, rolling up our sleeves, using real examples of our own, sharing real examples from your work, and just being very practical about how do we actually move this work forward. The only way to do that is to apply it to something that's real. So that project, don't be afraid of the word project. Project should be, what am I already doing that I want to focus on in this program, and advance it, do it differently. What do I want to actually focus on in this that I'm already doing? Something that we already have our hands on is perfect because we can really hit the ground running. And it doesn't need to be big. We've had projects that are big scale. Digital Nest is now scaled across 5 communities. It's a whole organization that was birthed in the room. And we've had administrative professionals that run a front desk redesign how they want people to enter and feel belonging in the organization. These projects can be at any scale and can be right where you're standing. Team, did I forget anything so far? And otherwise, I will share a brief video, a 3-minute video that further describes the work in Marin specifically. Ready for that? Okay. So here we go. I'm going to share this, and hopefully you'll recognize some colleagues in this video. Rise Together created the Leadership for Equity and Opportunity program to provide access to the leadership principles and tools needed to create change in our community. The program is designed to bring everyone working on equity together to create a common language, set of values, and tools for systems change, so that individuals, organizations, and communities can create the results we truly want to see.
It's about unfolding the full potential of the people who participate, but not just within that workshop setting. It's set up to have breakthrough initiatives that participants take. And then it's about a results orientation. And the good news is that the work that we do here in Marin has application elsewhere too.
The narrative about Marin County is that it's wealthy. There's not a whole lot of needs here. But what we know is that there are thousands of people that are technically homeless. And so part of what we want to do is create the complete narrative around who Marin County is as it relates to these issues, and then develop the plan and the strategies for what is we're going to do about it. We're supporting this work because it is what we're all about, which is creating equity of opportunity for everybody here in the county of Marin.
The work of Community Action Marin is to provide pathways to self-sufficiency for low-income residents in Marin County. What drew me to the Leadership, Equity, and Opportunity training was an opportunity really not just for myself as an individual, but for my entire team. And I was motivated by a deep yearning as a new leader in the community to find ways to talk about the kinds of systemic shifts we wanted to make, and to provide an opportunity for us to have a shared language, to create a culture in the organization aligned around our mission to serve low-income people in our community, and to make a shift in collaboration with one another.
I'm working on equitable educational opportunities for Marin City youth from ages kindergarten to 8th grade. I joined LEO because I knew that as being a leader for Bridge the Gap College Prep, there are additional tools that I needed to effectively lead and manage teachers, as well as to be an effective support system for not only the youth, but their families and the community as well.
This is for people who want to make change. Change that's enduring, change that shifts the paradigm of us and them, change that's able to really unfold the greatest potential we have.
I want to be back to my community, the things that I'm learning about how to build collaboration or partnership and how to use simple but very meaningful, mindful actions that will definitely support us to achieve equity.
This workshop has really helped me see a broader picture of my role, just even as chief of police. It's given me, I think, the confidence and the permission to change things because it's the right thing to do, and to get the buy-in and people on board to be with me with the change.
the manifestation of what's to come is what I'm extremely excited about. And the fact that this is a scalable program. So we did it once, we can do it again. And every single time we're getting a cohort of folks that are all speaking the same language and that have desire to make their community better.
In a community that is highlighted for having great inequities, we're inspired by and committed to supporting the huge field of people working to change that narrative, to make Marin County a place where everyone can thrive. All right. It's amazing. It's so fun as a way to reflect back and sort of reminisce about when we were able to be in person as well. It's so nice to see that. And this first session will be in person at the Key Room in Novato, and we're really excited to be coming back in person, at least for the first session, and to be able to be together and generate that kind of energy again. So hopefully that was inspiring, and you saw some folks that you know that you can then go talk to about their experience as well. So I'm going to now hand it back over to Robin for another brief sharing from one of our alumni before we go into logistics.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Megan. And may I request that we have a dancing session in session 1, please? And you can opt out. That made me smile. All right, so we have another alumni to welcome to share about her experience, who's been practicing this work for a couple years now. So Francesca from the Canal Alliance, will you please join us and share?
Hola a todos. Muchas gracias por
Buenas tardes a todos. Muchísimas gracias. Good morning. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the invitation. I want to say first that Leo changed my life from the first day. I don't want to lie. From the first day, Leo, it turned like we say in my country, we turned the sock inside out, and I was able to see things that I need to change. This is not only a workshop to do a project. It's a workshop that transforms you. It also helps you to change your perspective to how to see the things, people, clients. And this was an incredible experience for me in the personal level and emotional level. I took the hub and virtually, but at the end we had an activity in person. And from there, I had 2 very good friends, which I had shared hiking. We have traveled together, and they have done Leo for a long time, and they have really inspired me even more. When they were talking about the projects, I remember when they talk about the project the first day, I was going crazy because I didn't know really what I was going to do. I was nervous, but Leo's team helped me really a lot and helped support me. And one of the things that I want to share with you is that the project that I did in Leo, I presented in my job in a project to create English classes for professionals with a curriculum that is different, that is different than the ones that the normal schools have. And then I spoke with my supervisor, my director, and they were interested in my project. And for me, it was a surprise that 2 or 3 months after, they approved my project and became a reality. Therefore, we have class 1, 2, and a number 3 for new people. For me, Leo has been great because I create this project and I never believed that it will become reality. And if it was becoming a reality was going to be in a long time, but it was in a very short time. This is real, and I please take advantage of every day, every instant, every advice. Don't miss any class or one workshop, because when you come back, you're gonna even gonna be desiring the next class come up. I'm doing it for the second, whenever whether it's your first or second time, please make a decision, because this is gonna change your life. One time that I asked Monica, how can I apply this to change the things I knew I wanted to change? And she said, do it how if this is your daily routine, so it became consistent. So now I have these tools that Leo give me as my routine or every day, like drinking my coffee, like washing my teeth. It's like I have to do every day when I start my day to be better. And really, I hope you're welcome everybody here, and I hope that everybody can take this workshop. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Francesca. And congratulations on the success of your project. Very inspiring what you've shared with us. All right, so we are going to move into some of the details and logistics. So we've been sharing the why and the how of this work, and so here's some of the what and the logistics. So I put the links in the chat for you, where you can get more information on our website. But as Megan said, these are 4 sessions. The first one is 3 days long, and it's in person in Novato in the Key Room. Each workshop day is 9 to 3. And then sessions 2, 3, and 4 are all virtual. During the inner sessions, you're expected to be practicing the tools. This really truly is a learning and action program. And so in the inner sessions, you've designed things during the workshop and you're putting it into practice. You're learning new tools and you're practicing them in the session, and then you're trying them out in your everyday life at home and at work with your projects and with other aspects of your life. There's also a weekly 45 to 60-minute call that participants have in a small peer group. And it's not busy work. It is absolutely a key part of the learning and practice cycle and process, is to really have this accountability group where you grow and support each other. And for many of us, it's an incredibly rich experience that adds so much to the program. And many of us keep our pods, as we call them, going after the program. So the program will be delivered in English with simultaneous Spanish interpretation, and we have a professional, experienced interpretation team. Maribel is one of our interpreters, and we have anywhere from 1 to 3 others that join us throughout the program to really have a rich interpretation experience. And the program is facilitated by Monica, who you heard from in the video, who Monica mentioned, Megan, and myself. And I'm going to say it again in case you missed it. There is no cost for those of you who are living, working, volunteering in Marin County, thanks to the funding from the Marin Community Foundation that's we've had for the last several years. And I'll say what Megan said, as well as, this may be the last free program offered in Marin County. So we strongly encourage you to save these dates on your calendar, get them out to your colleagues and your coworkers as soon as you can. You can send them the links to our website, as well as the informational emails that you'll start receiving if you haven't yet already. And so to apply, it's a pretty pretty straightforward application process. It's online. You fill out the information, and you do need to have an idea of your project in mind when you fill out the application. But as we've all said, you really can choose something that you're passionate about that you're currently working on, and fill out the questions in relation to that. And it's okay if by the time September rolls around, you want to change your project. So you're not cemented. What you put in your application is very useful for you getting ready and for us to get a sense, but it is something that can be changed if that's something you want or need to do. And the deadline for those applications are August 23rd. So we have just a couple months here to commit and invite your colleagues to the program. So those are the logistics I can think of there. Anything else the team wants to add before we open it up for your questions? All right, well, we really look forward to receiving applications from you all and from your colleagues, and I'm going to hand it over to Megan to invite your questions.
Perfect. Thanks, Robin. So yeah, any questions for us or the alumni who've shared, or questions on logistics, you can just jump in or use your raised hand or put it in chat.
Thank you. Amy McCall from Hamilton School Community Liaison here. I have a question. The first session from September, from 9 to 11, those are 3 days?
Yes.
Okay, 3 days in person. Okay.
3 days in person, then the next virtual sessions are each 2 days.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying. And again, we'll be at the Key Room in Marin for that first session. Other questions? Things you want to know about? We've got some practitioner coaches and alumni in this space. Thanks for being here. Right. So one question that often, yeah, Leslie.
Hi.
Hi.
Not that I'm planning on it, but just in case, like what happens if you miss a session, if you're ill or whatever, for one of the first 3?
Yeah. So missing an entire session is tough. Each tool builds on the next. So each hour is jam-packed with amazing information. So we really do encourage everyone as much as possible to clear your calendars and be really focused during that time. Of course, if there's a family emergency or an illness, etc., and it's one session, there are a couple of mechanisms in which we can bring you up to speed and give you the materials and all of that. One is that we have a lot of practitioner coaches, which are alumni that are coming back to support the program and to do it again and to learn more deeply. And so one of them can be assigned to help support you and bring you back up to speed. You'll also have a group of 2 other participants who you'll be meeting with in between sessions to keep the material alive, to learn together. You'll have a practitioner coach assigned to support that. And that group can also help catch you up with what you may have missed. So again, really our commitment that we request is that you can make all the sessions and life happens. And so we really try to work with you.
Sounds very reasonable.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for that question. Yeah. Other questions? Okay. Please jump in,
Sorry,
but yeah, please.
I have one more
Sure.
about the projects that you are requesting that we can do on sites. Is there any chance at the end, if you approve the project, will be any like financial help to do the projects or not?
So we don't have to approve your project. Your project is a vehicle for your learning and practice. That's totally up to you. It's appropriate for what you're doing in the community and your work. We encourage it to be something you're already working on. Happy to meet with and talk through your project if you have questions about what it should be. We definitely do that before you apply, but we're not in the position of needing to approve your project or determine if you've accomplished enough or not. It's not like that at all. It's really just for your practice and learning.
Okay,
In the
thank you.
past, the past 2 years, and there is, because this is probably the last cohort that will be free and supported by MCF, it's likely this won't continue, but I do want to share that we've had 2 rounds now of alumni stipend awards that we were able to give out. That was seed funding with no strings attached to support project implementation. So and those were $10,000 stipends, not even grants. So they went to individuals, organizations, and teams. And that's been an incredible way to support alumni. And those projects were selected, you applied for it and those projects were selected by other alumni, a committee of alumni. So we'll keep you posted if that opportunity develops in Marin to continue that program. It's been a really powerful way of supporting implementation.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And just on that note, in terms of opportunities as alumni, I think it's really important to note that you are then, as an alumni, entering a community of about 1,500 or 1,600 now Bay Area alumni, thousands globally that have practiced this work and have a common language. And so there's an incredible opportunity to connect with people in your field or to learn together. We do alumni meetings regularly, virtually, to connect, additional learning opportunities and workshops. So you're kind of entering this as supportive and community moving forward as well as a additional bonus. Anything else, Robin, or others, common questions that you hear that we could address? Okay. Great. Any other questions from anyone else here? Okay. So if that's the case, we will share just a final slide, and maybe we could put a link in chat for where to apply. Registration is open, and I should say also space is limited. Our cohorts have been 75 to 100 people in the past, and there's only so much in the room in the key room for us to be together in person. So we definitely encourage you to apply early and reserve your spot. And registration is open. You can go to impactlaunch.org/MarinLeo, and we can put that in chat. And that is where you can find out more, review all of the dates and logistics that we've shared, read more testimonials and information and background, read the FAQs, and then there's a link to the registration page. On that landing page is also a link to everything in Spanish. And so if you have any questions, sorry, Robin, I don't know why yours isn't a hyperlink. If you have any questions at all, please do reach out to either or Robin and I, and we are always happy to talk through project ideas. If you have something come up, if you want to apply as a team, but you need more information to convince your supervisor, if you're part of a school and you need a letter from us, we're open to all of it. We want to make this possible and accessible for everyone. We know it's a time commitment, but again, it's one that will save you so much time in the long run. So we hope that you will join us and that we'll see you in person in September. Thanks, Robin, for putting all of that in the chat. Yeah, registration is a first come, first serve basis. The only way we don't, if someone just hasn't filled out their application and doesn't seem like it's a fit for the program, we'll reach out and have a conversation and see if we can shape it and get you there. But it's really not an application process so much as it's a registration process. And those applications inform us and Dr. Sharma about who's in the room and what examples we should bring in. It's very tailored to the group that registers. So those really help us understand what you want to work on more than us, determining whether you're a fit or not. So hopefully that's helpful. And we definitely please spread the word to your teams and organizations and networks in the community. Again, now's the time to take advantage of this free opportunity. So I hope you'll join us. Any parting words, team? Closing thoughts, anyone?
We're just very excited to see you in September. Thank you.
Great. Thanks everyone so much. Pause recording.